Hi everyone, I'm Lisa All and I'm in the Education Department at Pittsburgh Ballet Theater. Welcome to our first virtual preview of the 23-24 season. And today we're going to be talking for a few minutes about our upcoming production, Light in the Dark, which we will have at the Byham Theater October 27th through 29th. And I'm really excited to have with me today Jennifer Archibald, who is the choreographer for one of the pieces on the program, Sounds of the Sun. Also on the program is a work by Barak Marshall called Longer, and then two pas de deux, Lacrimosa by Annabelle Lopez Ochoa and Loss by Sasha James. So I want to welcome you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for taking the time and for just being here today and talking to us for a few minutes about Sounds of the Sun. I wanted to first just start off with what else you're involved in. I know this is not the only thing you're doing right now, creating this world premiere ballet for us. So what else are you doing? What are your jobs?
Well, I teach at Columbia, and I also teach the actors at Yale. And I'm working on a full length for Ballet X. So I need to come up with a story for that. Wow. And then I'm going to be setting work for Pathways to Performance at the Kennedy Center with Teresa Howard.
Yes, and so that's the same project that Corey Bourbonniere, one of our artists, our soloist artist, was a part of a couple of summers ago.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. That's a summer thing at the Kennedy Center.
Yes, I believe it's happening in June.
Yeah, and that's great. Okay. So for Sounds of the Sun, we can't really talk about it without starting with who this ballet is, based on who it's about. And so it's about Florence Waren, a Jewish dancer in Paris. So tell us a little bit about her.
Florence Waren was a South African Jewish artist that had a dream of moving to Paris to dance. And she ended up moving to France in the 1940s and played a huge role during the resistance and hiding Jewish people during the Holocaust. And in that process, she was also hiding her identity while she was performing in France.
Just in reading a little bit about her, what strikes me, or what is just so kind of moving to me, is that she was so young. Mm-hmm. She is this, kind of ebullient person, not knowing that the sledgehammer was going to come down, when she was in Paris, and just like all of the life and death decisions she had to end up making, as a very young person in Paris. So I think the ballet kind of represents that in a really moving way. But so where did this idea come from? How did you know about Florence Waren?
Well, it was, Florence Waren was actually introduced to me from the organization. Okay. The story kind of landed in my emails, and I was asked to see if I was interested in doing the project. And initially, there wasn't really a lot of information about Florence Waren out there, so I had to kind of dig through some archives to get material, and then I kind of just fell in love with the story in terms of just her heroism and her power, and as you said, her making these decisions at such a young age. This is like in her early 20s, and I just felt like I could bring this story to life. I felt like a documentary format has been something that I've been interested in as I've been creating different ballets. I had done a ballet about Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, and I had gone into the community and interviewed different people about race relations in Tulsa. And I think having a documentary format is just a way of educating an audience and also having the audience be connected in a personal way to what they're seeing on stage. So that was my way of trying to kind of figure out how I wanted to present the story. And having a documentary format was of interest to me. I say this because when I was trying to find research about her, there's a couple of articles that come up in the internet, but I wanted to know if there were any family members still alive, because she had just passed away. And I started digging through LinkedIn and Facebook, and like the normal social media platforms. But I somehow went through about 40 different people on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
And I saw a last name, and I emailed that person, and they had told me, I am not the son of Florence Waren, because there was an article that said that there was still a son that was alive. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, we need to find the son. And I just he had said that I had actually worked on a documentary called Dancing Lessons, which is about Florence Waren, and her son is the one that directed it.
Okay.
So it went from editor to publicist to that documentary was presented in British Columbia to the film festival to finally asking a colleague to figure out if where he went to school. And I even had the directory at Princeton looked at to see if I could just keep searching so I could find Mark Waren. And I ended up connecting with another family member who was able to send me the documentary. And then that documentary became the spine of the work. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I was able to see Florence Waren speak. And she came alive, in my research. And I just felt like this is it. And this is why we need to see her on stage with the dancers. Yeah. Because it would create another level of reality in the work that the audience could connect with.
So this is obviously very research-based. So how long did the research process take?
I started it in January, so it's about 8 to 9 months worth of research, in finding archives and also building a team that could be able to help me on a multimedia context. And then we have a lighting designer that also comes from Columbia as well. So we've sort of been, just trying to put this puzzle together.
Yeah. So talk about some of the multimedia aspects of it. I know there's...
Yeah, the multimedia director is named Guy Delancey, and he had worked with me with other projects before, and it was really just a matter of him trying to find different archives of the time and going through pictures of Florence Waren, and we're going to try to create this other layer of installation on top of the work.
Okay, wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are some, I don't want to say voiceovers, but we actually hear Florence's voice in the ballet too, which is also incredibly arresting and very profound to hear. Mm-hmm.
I think it helped our lead really embody the voice and become the character throughout the work. And I think it really it was just like this sense of awakening for everyone in the studio to experience this voice and move from that inner impulse and start to create movement together.
Another aspect of the production is the costuming. So Janet Groom-Campbell, who's our former costumier, came back to design the costumes for this. So talk a little bit about how that collaboration worked. And
Janet, I think Janet was really excited about the work. I had worked with her when I had created a piece here for my first time called Through the Window, and we just got along really well. Yeah. And I just liked her spirit, and she was as excited about the work as I was. Mm-hmm. And I think having, when you have an artistic team that is as committed as you, that's what makes that whole full package come to life. And, we had spoke probably last November, so that's way before the 8-month period where we started to brainstorm different ideas. And I said I just wanted it to embody kind of a more modern look, but also pay tribute to the spirits from that time. And, it's coming together.
Yeah, I saw the run through yesterday, and the costumes are just gorgeous, just beautiful. I think they really do embody that spirit just in the design. And
Yes, I had mentioned to her that I wanted to have this ombre of yellow in it because, you know, the work is really focused on the spirit and the power and the resilience of Florence. The yellow symbolized the badges that the Jewish people had to wear.
Yeah.
And
the yellow Star of David.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, it's complex.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to balance the tragedy with the hope that she brought into it, and finding that emotional balance is complex, and it's complex to see it from the outside in, but also to experience it as dancers as they move through it.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of dialogue in terms of how we move through the different emotional arcs of the work.
So with the dancers in the studio, you're talking with them about obviously the characterization and all that, but you also bring your experience in dramatic work to this work as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've had conversations with artistic directors about the actor and the dancer. And a lot of times in conservatory training, our young dancers don't have the experience to experiment with acting. And then you get a contract and you have to become these characters, and you may not have tools in order to implement them. So that was also a huge part of this process that needed to be looked at, and we had to do acting exercises and really understand how to be truthful in every single moment beyond the gestures, the intention. We needed to understand why we were coming on stage at every moment. So those were definitely details that were discussed.
So talk a little bit about your choice of music too. How did you?
I was connected with a local composer called Florence Waren. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he is someone that really was able to guide me in terms of through my resources and trying to figure out what Jewish composers I should be looking at from the era specifically. But it was interesting because, of course, string music is important because we're honoring the violins and the sounds of the violins in the work. But I, stylistically, percussion was important to me as well. And I was able to find a Jewish percussionist that works out of Israel and does a lot of performances in different synagogues across the world. And her name is Marla Goldstein. And she was able to give us permission to use her work. And it's, I was able to create a 30-minute score with Jewish composers, but also adding in some of the voiceover of Florence Waren. So it's this 30-minute piece of a human voice, but also the human spirit of the strings.
And then we also have, for those who may not know, we're collaborating with Violins of Hope on this production, and Violins of Hope is an exhibit and a project about violins from the Holocaust, and we got permission to actually play one live on stage. So our assistant director of the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater Orchestra will be playing live during one of the sections of Sounds of the Sun.
Yes, we're going to put it all together when we get into the theater, and I think it's going to be really beautiful.
It is going to be amazing. So last thing, so where does the title come from, Sounds of the Sun?
Sounds of the Sun. I am that person that will go through about 20 or 40 different titles before I pick one. But sounds, the word sounds is definitely coming from the the music that empowered many of the Jewish people during the Holocaust. And the element of sun is really just letting everyone know that there was hope. There was always hope throughout the darkness of those days.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us a little window onto Sounds of the Sun, our production next weekend. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you at the theater.